Now before you go removing the triple trees, understand that these bearings in the upper and lower trees are loose. So be very careful when you pull them off, or you're going to have a lot of bearings on the floor. I suggest grabbing a bucket to catch the bearings if they drop. Now remember, when doing this kind of work, make sure you have a clean shop floor, because that will make it easier to find the bearings that get away from you. Now make sure you go through and measure all of your bearings to find out if you have any worn bearings that need to be replaced. Now make sure that when you're buying replacement bearings that you only buy stainless steel for two reasons. For one, the non-corrosive properties, and two, the strength. Stainless steel is a very strong steel. And go ahead and clean off your bearings after you take them out, because you want nice, fresh, clean grease when you reinstall them. Okay, so now it is time to pull the engine out of the frame, and this should be a really fun job by myself. Now I need to figure out how to do this delicately, because how I take it out is how I'm going to put it back in after everything is all painted. I think if I dump the bike, the frame, the engine over on the side, then I can remove the engine mounts and pull the frame off of the engine. So that is my plan. We'll see how well it goes. But first, before I turn the bike on the side, I want to pull the rear engine mount out first, because it is a long pin, about that long, but I'm not going to be able to get it out once it is on its side. And I want to put it on the right side because it looks like it will be more level on the right side. Okay, here's a tip. Loosen all of your mounting bolts before you put it on the side. Ta-da! Now if you remember, when I removed the airbox, I also removed the lower mounts for this side cover. And I've been thinking of ways to secure this bottom mount here on the side cover. And I found that I could pull the mounts off of the airbox. So what I have decided to do is go ahead, put these mounts back on. And here with this bracket I have a hole. And what I want to do now is to drill a hole in the frame and tap it for a screw. That way I can run a screw through the mount here and affix it to the frame, which will give me a nice solid mount for the side cover. And then I want to find a plastic or a metal sleeve to fit in here between the frame and the bracket, which will hide the screw and give the mount something more secure to hold on to. Now I'm not going to be able to drill the hole here until I get the engine out of the frame, because I just cannot fit a drill in here. So let's go ahead and measure it up and at least get my hole where I want it for now. I went ahead and bent this tab here back to make it line up with the angle of the frame. Okay, now since all of this work is going to be done with everything out of the frame, I've just cut this little piece of paper here with the angles and the space that I need here in between the bracket and the frame. And this will give me an angle of the hole I need to drill. And it will give me the space in between the frame and the bracket. This will also help me for cutting the sleeve to fit. Now that I have the engine out of the frame, I can go ahead and drill and tap holes for the side cover mounts. So I just need to find my markings. I have my little templates here. Gave me the angle of the hole I need to drill. Okay, now I picked up these 1-inch spacers to use as sleeves for the screws for the side cover mount. So I need to cut them to fit the length and grind them to fit the shape of the frame. That is that. Now if you can see here, the frame has these welded on tabs. There's brackets here for mounting the side reflectors. And since those reflectors are not going on this bike, I need to cut off these brackets here. I want to be careful to cut only into the weld here and not into the frame. Now I'm hammering the chisel at the bracket and not at the frame. Now I'm using a flap wheel here to grind down the weld, because a flap wheel is a lot more forgiving than a grinding wheel. Not want to accidentally take a huge chunk out of the frame. And this is like I think this is a 130 grit, so not too aggressive. And that is done.